Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm Tucker Hazlett, joined by my backlog brother from another mother, Abram Buhner, and today we are here to talk about the games that we've been playing for the past 2 weeks, because we had to take a little break for Thanksgiving. I was off in the fabulous land of Las Vegas, where I saw a lot of drunk people. Cops were at my hotel. I lost my driver's license. It was a great time, but we're back, and we're here to talk about something a lot more calming and nurturing to my soul, video games. And Abram, I'm happy to have you here with me, but I'm more happy to have the community here with me watching this, because I love communicating with them, and if they want to communicate with us, they can join our Discord. The link is in the description. They can also like and subscribe and submit their own games to be talked about for a little bit in our community section at the end of this episode of BLB, or I guess next week's episode, because it'd be very hard for you to get comment in time for this recording.
I mean, it happens more often than you would think.
That's true, yeah.
To be fair. Let me just say at the top, Tucker, I fucking hate Las Vegas. I've been to Las Vegas one time and I did not like it at all.
No, yeah, it was interesting.
I made a specific note to Jean that I do not want to go to Las Vegas on the way back through. We're rerouting to Henderson instead of Las Vegas.
That's very near Las Vegas, correct?
It's very near, but it's not the Strip, and I just refuse to go back to Las Vegas Strip. I fucking hate it there.
Okay.
But Tucker,
maybe you'll find my driver's license.
I love video games. Unlike Las Vegas. Do you want? You know what? You got the reins. You got the horns.
I got the reins.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Now, I have 4 games to discuss this week. How does that number compare to yours?
I'm just gonna say that I have 4 also, because the truth of the matter is I can't remember exactly how many I have. So maybe this number will evolve as the show goes on. But fuck it, I'm gonna start because I want to give just a quick mention to one. Okay. I just want to mention that I have been playing Halo Infinite. My thoughts largely have not changed.
Oh yeah,
but I will say
the last episode, I'm very proud of this, by the way. I made the thumbnail 3 different forms of fucking Halo people, and no, it wasn't, because it was.
Oh, was Halo... Noble 6 on there? Probably.
Yeah, it was the ODST guy.
Yeah, Noble 6. They put the reach.
Oh wait, no,
It was Noble 6. Fuck it. Here's the point. I've been playing more Halo Infinite. Largely, my thoughts are the same. I just want to say Fiesta Slayer was added. They're starting to do
Fiesta Slayer. That's how I imagine the guy says it.
They're starting to do some, rotating events. I think Halo Infinite still has a problem with how it's obviously a problem with the progression within its battle pass, which has been marginally improved. I think they're doing a lot of like band-aid patches before they fully overhaul the EXP progression for hopefully the proper launch. Day one of the game.
Yeah.
But
which is 6 days, I believe, as of recording.
They're under a week away from the campaign, so I'm over the moon. But Fiesta Slayer was fun. There's just a disjunction.
Is that where you crash a party? You just murder everyone there? Fiesta Slayer.
What it actually is it's
show up at a wedding, you're like
No, it's not Kill Bill, Tucker. It's like we're ahead ourselves here. It's just Slayer, but you can start with a gravity hammer. You can start with a gravity hammer and a sniper rifle. Possibly. You get a randomized loadout every time you start the game. So it's fun, it's casual, but there's just a little bit of a disjunction between playing the matches and then progressing through challenges to unlock new gear and equipping that gear. That's where the game needs work. The core of Halo Infinite is so fucking fun, as I reiterated last night, because I can sit down for a match and play literally 12 matches. This core gameplay is so good. It is my game of the year, but that's in quotations because I cannot in good faith say that until I've played the campaign.
100%. Because if that doesn't pan out, that would make it more shaky. Yeah. No, naturally.
Which is why, it's soft.
It's an evolving game of the year.
It's an evolving game of the year, which I'm not crazy, I will say, about the defense that, the progression system, we can work on it later because the game is in beta. The game is out, you know. The game is launched. They
launched that section of the game, and in my opinion, obviously I haven't played the game. I don't really care about the progression system as an outsider.
I don't really either.
It should have. Well, you're complaining about it, but I feel like it should have been good at launch. It doesn't make sense for them to it feels like backpedaling.
No, I agree. And when I say I don't care about it, the thing is, I didn't play 150 hours of Splatoon 2 because it was fun to keep leveling up, really. Yeah. That level up curve was really bad. For me to become engaged in a multiplayer title, I care about the core mechanics. And so I can observe the problems with this progression. Yeah. And while I don't really care about completing challenges because want better mastery over the game mechanics. That's why I'm playing.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly and indisputably, it is the weakest part of the experience. Indubitably.
Yeah, I was only playing Overwatch for that progression system, where you get a loot box every level. Yay!
Another great example of like, for me, it's a core gameplay.
100%, and I totally respect that. But you know, God, this is nothing like Halo Infinite. We're turning the wheel fucking 270 degrees.
Pull a Tanner Dykstra and just talk about something unrelated.
A different topic? Let's switch to a different topic. I want to talk about this. That's my enough shitting on Tanner for today. I'm going to talk about Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which I used as my one night holdover. I had a one night stand with Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. The night that I wanted to really play a video game, but BDSP was launching in 6 hours. So I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? I can't start a big game now, and I don't want to. I'm not really in the mood for like a Picross or a round-based multiplayer game or whatever. I just like, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. That's a short game. That's a game I'm familiar with. It's very bite-sized, intentionally so, and I played through the entirety of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, almost to 100% completion. There's a couple like bullshit extra things you have to go through each level like fucking 5 times to get everything. I'm not doing that, but like almost all the gems, almost all the bonus challenges. And I played through the entire game, and Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is just fucking delightful. I think that game is absolutely phenomenal.
No, I know. You gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It's your 17th favorite game you played this year.
Now, quick question. Do you have that pulled up? Or do you just have that committed to fucking memory?
That's just information I know.
What's 18th? I don't know what's 18th.
I don't know what 18th is, but I know that 16th is 3D World.
I thought I put them back to back. Back to back. I just felt like that felt right. And frankly, I might even put it above 3D World in retrospect, because I think that what Captain Toad Treasure Tracker does is just being its own thing. There really is almost nothing like this, and the way that it creates platforming, exploration, puzzle challenges is really special, and it's presented through, I think, one of the greatest Mario art styles of all time.
It's beautiful.
The color palette and the sheen on things, it's some of my favorite ways that different kinds of Mario things have looked. And the game just has a ton of charm in everything that it does, and there's just, like 3D World, an absolutely insane amount of variety.
Yes.
The only reason I think this is held back from a 5 out of 5 is it's put in this really fucking obnoxious structure where you finish episode 1, which is a book. World one, I don't know. And the credits roll. And I'm sitting there on voice chat with Daniel and Nisk and Abby or whatever, and I'm like, I didn't just beat this game. I know there's more to this. I've only been playing for 90 minutes. What the fuck is this? And then I'm like, oh, okay, chapter 2. Oh, all right, whatever. This is weird. Now I'm playing this Toadette, Captain Toadette, whatever. What the fuck is the point of this? Why did the credits roll? This makes no sense. And then you finish episode 2, and then episode 3 starts, and it plays the exact same cutscene from episode 1. And then throughout episode 3, you swap between Toad and Toadette, which doesn't actually make any sense canonically. It's really weird, and of course, it doesn't impact the game play at all, but it does feel much like 3D World or 3D Land, which I had a big problem with. The cheapest way to structure a game that does make it feel lacking. I mean, Mario games aren't known for their stories, but I do think that chopping it up for no reason and making it clear that there's a disconnect between the amount of attention they put into the gameplay versus the structure just makes it feel just slightly cheap in that regard.
I think, I like the storybook idea, but I just don't think it's executed especially well.
I mean, and it's just a level select.
That's what. I mean, but there's something charming about the each level being on a page.
Well, of course. I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah, but it doesn't. You're totally right that it doesn't really feed into anything.
No.
And all the most important people in my life, my girlfriend Jean and you, both love Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. You guys are
video game junkie also.
Video game junkie, yes, the third most important person in my life. You guys are hot on this game. I'd say I'm warm on Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Okay. I think I could be really hot on a sequel, but for me, this is a really great foundation for a game that doesn't quite take itself to its natural conclusion, in my opinion. I think the game could do with a better structure, as you're saying, but I think it could also do with some more variety. There's great thematic variety, but mechanical variety, especially in boss fights, I think we could
Well, yes.
we could do better with. And why can't you can pull a turnip, a pickaxe, an item out of the out of like the sprouts, but there could be more. I just think that Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a fantastic foundation,
Yes.
and it is a very good game. I just think that for me, I needed another dimension, and I think that what this game needs is its 3D world to 3D land.
1000%. I do think that this could easily be expanded on. It's just surprising how much quality is in this
it's
base
high quality
version.
for sure.
Like, I can't even imagine how phenomenal an expanded sequel to this would be. I do think that having it in that storybook structure is sort of charming, but imagine if there was an overworld, a giant overworld puzzle where you would discover little doors to go into, and it all connected thematically, and and it was told through a slightly more coherent story structure, where even if it's a storybook, it's Toad recounting his adventures to a group of little fucking toadlings or whatever. Like, I do think that could easily happen. I do think they're right.
Totally.
Especially with the bosses. You want to know how many bosses there are? 2. There are 2 bosses in this fucking game.
What's the other one that?
There's the dragon and the bird.
And right.
Yeah. There's the dragon and the bird, and you fight each one twice/3 times, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is just stupid. It's really lame. And that's another point where I feel that it's obvious that this is not like the full budget game that I think it could be. But it does feel surprisingly complete for the 3D World team's side project.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. It was a $40 game when it released on Wii U. I think that's what it is on Switch also. It only reuses 3D World assets pretty much. I always thought it'd be so cool to go back to where Captain Toad began, being in Galaxy, and if you had bring back Galaxy's motifs if you want, or just take the idea of Captain Toad in his mushroom starship flying around finding treasure. I think you could make a grander game out of that.
There is no emphasis put on the treasure tracking aspect.
You find track gems.
Yeah, sure, but I think that's because it's not placed in a story structure where that makes sense. I think there should be a total amount of collectibles, or a little fucking Toad dungeon where you've got all your fucking treasure stacked up on the side, just something like that. Awesome. I do think there's more they could do with that. And shoot, there was one last thing I was gonna say. I played this game entirely with the Pro controller, and now I know the one time we talked about this game about a year ago, I believe. You talked about how you don't think that this is the Switch version is the definitive version because that gyro didn't work so well for you. And frankly, I just did not have any issues with it. I found it to be really natural to be controlling the camera with a stick and then just tapping R and tilting the controller. I guess I'm just so used to gyro. Maybe I felt that was working, but I honestly prefer it over touch, and especially not full tilt gyro, all that stuff from the Wii U version. I really do think this is a definitive version, especially because it is also visually improved.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think the gyro issues are nowhere near what they are in Pikmin 3 Deluxe or anything.
Sure.
But I think that for the I forget what they're called, but the shiny blocks that you tap on to move.
To make a move, yes.
Yeah, there's just certain things here that were clearly designed for Wii U.
Sure, of course.
And they're also it's really gimmicky. It really was not much more than just a fun bonus, but you could link your Wii U copy of if you had a save file for 3D World on your Wii U's hard drive and you played Captain Toad, you could play a bunch of 3D World levels as Captain Toad, and they retrofitted them for Captain Toad to be able to move through them.
Oh.
And those are not on the Switch version.
No, I totally forgot about this. I knew about the 3D World inspired levels that are removed from the Switch and 3DS version.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate and doesn't make any fucking sense. But that is an entirely other thing that's really cool bonus content.
Yeah, and the Switch version, I think, like I said, I think this is a very good puzzle game. It is really inspired visually. It's very charming, as you're saying. It's super polished, but I just think that it just needed a little bit more for me. And I'm hoping we get that. And I really do think we're going to get a sequel at some point.
It's been a long time, though.
It has been, yeah.
Who knows? We'll but see. I really hope for one.
I really hope so, too.
All right, that's my bet on Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. One of my close to sort of top games of the year, but it's very good.
It's very good.
I highly recommend it.
Tucker, let's talk about another Mario game and a fucking skeleton in the backlog banter closet. I want to talk about Mario Golf Super Rush.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, whoa!
So I went home for Thanksgiving, and
Oh, yeah.
my sister really likes Mario Golf Super Rush.
I'm sorry for the loss.
As we reiterated before, this game is most fun in multiplayer. So when my sister and I are sitting together and yelling at each other and playing this game, it is a lot more fun inherently. And so I was like, hey, we could play, Mario Party, because she hasn't played that. She really has Smash Brothers and Animal Crossing and Minecraft on her Switch, and she doesn't need anything else. If she wants something else, she just plays it with me. Mm-hmm. So she hadn't played Mario Party Superstars yet. So I was like, we could play that. She's like, no, I want to play Mario Golf. Tucker.
I can't tell which direction this is going, which is very exciting for me. My heart is fucking pounding in anticipation.
They finished the game.
Really? Okay.
I think Mario Golf Super Rush in its current state is worth $60.
Is there a but to this?
No.
No? Okay. Fascinating.
There's no but to this. This game, what's annoying is that this game, exactly like Aces before it, mm-hmm. we did a whole video on this about Nintendo needs to stop releasing unfinished games. Because the narrative around this game now, for me, is not that it is bad, but that it is further evidence that Nintendo needs to stop this fucking business model.
Yeah.
Because when Laurel and I hopped into it, the list of courses is full. They added 4 more courses here. Okay. They added medal achievements to work towards. Okay. They added new bizarre characters. Like I was playing as Wiggler, and Wiggler is very fun. Because not only are you playing as Wiggler and he's fucking moving like this, but if he gets hit, he turns into Angry Red Wiggler and starts running faster. Wow. Ninja is in the game now, who, to my knowledge, has never been playable in a Mario game before.
Yeah.
Of course, ranked mode was added before. You can now pick the AI difficulty of the opponents. The problems with Mario Golf are not here anymore.
Wow. Okay.
The game
is
content complete. It is feature rich, and it is very fun. If this game was in the state that it is in now at launch, it is an easy 7 or 8 out of 10 for me.
Sure. Wow.
This is a good addition to the Mario multiplayer suite on Switch. Mm-hmm. Now, it's still unpolished for sure. It's still visually a little bit sparse. Sometimes you clip into some geometry, but the new courses are really inspired. There's a super fun...
Good. Yeah, I don't actually know what they are. I might just go look them up.
So there's 4. There's a snow-themed one, which is just another environmental theme, right? But there's some fun things with ice and the penguins. People remember from the new Super Mario Brothers games with the fucking Squirtle Squad glasses that we never see anymore. They're zipping around the maps. There's a really fun one that's themed around like Koopas and Magic Koopas, which is all par 3 holes. So it's this really fast-paced thing to chip to the green and putt quicker than your opponents. They're adding in courses that change the way you'd approach the golf game.
Sure.
And on the whole, it's just baffling to me that Nintendo didn't let Camelot finish this, especially because the end of Nintendo's 2021 is very light. If this had released in December, if this was like the end of the year game, I think we would have been in a really great spot, because I genuinely think the game is a lot of fun, and I can recommend Mario Golf Super Rush right now. Yeah,
this is fascinating. I'm looking at these stages, and really only 2 of them stand out for me outside of the New York City one, because there's the ice one you're talking about, and there's sort of another deserty themed one.
That's certainly the most uninspired one.
But the 2 of those seem like, that makes sense for them to add that. But there appears to be ones with stuff shaped like Mario characters, which is hilarious. All-Star Summit, that's awesome. And Shelltop Sanctuary, which has like giant stone Koopas and Koopa shells and stuff. Yeah. That's a lot of stuff that I was looking for out of the original, which, again, still only a few of these stages actually fix, which is being more inspired. But you're right, I think all of these are more inspired than the base ones. But I'm glad that they at least added some that are more Mario themed.
That's why I think. And
also, it looks like there's it only looks like there's 4 new characters, though I don't think the roster was necessarily the problem with the base game. So I guess this is a totally reasonably sized roster. My question, and I think there's a very easy answer to this, is if they did anything to fix the story mode, which I think was my biggest problem with that, because The other
Yeah.
modes are intended for multiplayer, and the game is fun in multiplayer, but that single player mode was pretty much categorically terrible. I mean, I doubt they did anything to fix that.
I don't think so. I mean, they actually did do stuff to Ace's campaign, but they're done with Super Rush now. So I think that's staying as is. And like I said, that's why I think the game is probably at like a 7.5.
Yeah.
Could maybe push it towards an 8, and I think you could still be talking sensibly. But I really think the game was at like the state of a 5 or a 6 before. But now I genuinely think that it is a good multiplayer Mario game. And I'm really happy to see that.
I'm down to do a separate retrospective Mario Golf Super Rush, how it's improved, what's new, that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, 6 months in or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a sort of
because I'm interested in giving it another shot because I did not like that game and I thought it was bad. And I had a lot of fun talking about it, but hearing you sing praises for it in places that were clearly lacking, I think is an interesting redemption arc, but not necessarily an important one because no one gives a piss about this game. It launched in such a poor state that I didn't hear anyone talk about the DLC as it was coming out.
Well, it's the best-selling Mario Golf game.
Oh.
People care about this game.
Sure.
Now that's a question of scale, of course.
Yeah, no.
Ultimately, it's like 2.5 million copies. I mean, that's certainly in comparison to what Nintendo does on the higher scale, it's nothing. But that is a big community, and that is a community that wanted this content, a community that got it, right?
Yeah.
So it is certainly a quiet redemption. Yeah. But it is a redemption nonetheless, and I think it's worth pointing out because we did a lot of shitting on Mario Golf, very deservedly. Yeah. Back in June, so it's in a much better place.
Okay, all right. Let's keep on that Nintendo train because there's been another game that I have been playing quite a bit of. I played almost 11 or 12 hours of it in the past week, which is me walking the streets of Las Vegas, frustrated as fuck with, every element of that. And I'm like, what sounds good right now? A little bit of fucking Fire Emblem. So I started Fire Emblem Fate's Birthright. I believe I was just in a restaurant in Las Vegas when I started this game. Or maybe it was a taxi. I don't know. I did a lot of playing of Birthright in
weird places
where I should be gazing at the sights. Sure. I'd already gotten my fucking fill of Las Vegas. So it's been a while since I've started a new Fire Emblem game. I've kind of been on a one Fire Emblem game a year kick, which I think is a good balance for myself.
Reasonable.
Three Houses in 2019, Awakening last year, and now Birthright this year. And I do hope to beat it, though I have gotten distracted by other stuff. My disc is right here. Give it a little pet. But I'm really loving Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. It's really interesting that I hear this game being very controversial with Fire Emblem fans in terms of its difficulty and the changes that it makes. Though I personally feel that that a lot of the new stuff that it adds and the way that it reframes what stereotypical Fire Emblem stuff is with essentially a fresh coat of paint really brings a lot of life to the game. I played Awakening and really enjoyed it. I mean, it's a great game, but I did feel like there was a lot of it that felt generic and uninspired in terms of pretty flat story, everything just being swords and shields and not much more. But reframing Birthright and by extension the rest of Fate, Conquest, and Revelation around the culture clash between Japanese inspired and Western inspired cultures, and the sort of morally gray story of your past being uncovered, and Corrin being a lot stronger of a character than Robin or Byleth. I think this is really an awesome game, and especially when you sort of take a step back and look at my biggest issue with Awakening, which was it was just menus, giving you a home base to go around and talk to little sprite versions of the characters and farm little items and stuff like that. It's just enough to make this world feel a lot more alive and connect you a lot more to your crew, which in my opinion is the most important aspect of Fire Emblem. And I do think that, but because it's pretty similar gameplay wise to Awakening, that the gameplay is also there. I've yet to beat it, but I do think that this game will come out stronger than Awakening in my opinion, because it does add a lot of new things to the series that I think do improve what it's best at.
Like feet on the character models.
Oh yeah, also true. I didn't really care about that in Awakening. That's a huge meme, but
so I I played Conquest back when it came out. I don't think I finished it. It was 2016, so I do not remember it very well. I would like to go back to it. I actually want to play Echoes, Shadows of Valencia first.
So do I.
I haven't touched that one, but I think Fates is super interesting because I think it is really rich in the elements you're talking about in terms of character and narrative and everything. But I just think that Fire Emblem Fates as a release is pretty egregious.
It's fucking strange.
I just think that Pokemon, I think the reason Pokemon can get away with it is because Pokemon versions are lazy, which is a weird, like, counterintuitive thing. But if you buy, if you bought Shiny Pearl, I bought Brilliant Diamond, right?
Yeah.
We trade the Pokemon, we have the full experience. Sword and Shield, I think, started to push it a little bit with different gym leaders, right? To where you have to pay for these, two games that are ostensibly the same but a little bit different. But I think the fact that they are ostensibly the same is why people are okay with that.
Yeah.
The fact that Birthright and Conquest are so different, and then the fact that they put Revelations on top of that, it just feels kind of scummy in my opinion.
No, 100%.
I think that I think they learned their lesson with Fates really quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't think Revelations
immediately
do this again.
Yeah.
But I just think that is what soured a lot of people on the game.
Sure.
And why, because Fire Emblem Fates is like 3 different games. So I think it's just kind of, it's hard to talk about. It was a hard sell for people. It was kind of a way to spit in the face of the people who wanted the full Fire Emblem experience.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the game itself that is the problem as much as it's how Nintendo and Intelligent Systems delivered the game.
100%. It's fascinating though, because when I take a step back and compare this to the business practice of Pokemon doing those barely changes and people still buy both copies, I actually think that this is more reasonable. It's stranger because they're so different, but on their own, Conquest and Birthright are full Fire Emblem games.
Right.
There's no skimp on the quality of the writing or the character models or the combat, and they're very different. They tell entirely different stories with entirely different sets of characters. And I haven't played Conquest, obviously, but different gameplay styles, different map styles. These are different Fire Emblem games released as different sides of the same story, which I think actually, because they are so drastically different, makes a little more sense why they're released separately. Of course, I feel like they should be Fates and you choose the path and it shouldn't cost you fucking $80 plus DLC to get the full experience. But it does make more sense to have 2 different full complete games be released as complete separate physical copies than this one has 3 different Pokemon than the other one. I do think that's actually more reasonable.
Sure. I think it does a better job justifying why it is a separate product. Yeah. But I don't think it justifies it enough to where it should be a separate product. Sure. You know what I mean? Especially in because these games are also, in reductive terms, but the easy one and the hard one.
No, sure, 100%.
And which is just another.
Which is also why Birthright gets shit on a lot by the Fire Emblem community. It's like, oh, that's the one for the fucking casuals. And you know what? It is, and I'm enjoying the piss out of it.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. But then, what if you want to have that casual experience with Conquest because you want the Conquest narrative, or you want the Birthright narrative with the harder battles? Of course. I just think that at a certain point, the divergence is too far to the point where you're compromising one experience or the other as a result.
No, 100%. Yeah, but I doubt that I'll ever play Conquest or Revelations. I actually don't really know what Revelations is as its own thing. I know it's DLC, but presumably it's its own story, but maybe it continues part of the story that you started, and maybe it's different if you've played both of them. I have no fucking idea, but I think once I've gotten my fill of the story of Birthright, I think that's enough Fates for me, and especially because it's going to be a 40-hour experience. I don't need to go through that again, not because I don't like Fire Emblem, but because I do pace myself out on Fire Emblem. I don't want to burn out because it is a game series that you can burn out very easily on. Yeah. Though I have come to the realization that, and I've gone on record this a couple times, though I'm not particularly a huge fan of the Fire Emblem combat, the gameplay cycle of grinding for support conversations is one of the most addictive gameplay cycles I've ever encountered. When I'm sitting there, and I was in a line for a buffet in Vegas for legitimately 2.5 hours, and I just had my DS. I was playing the entire time. That 2.5 hours flew the fuck by so fast because I was just like, okay, if I do one more, like go out and do one more little scouting mission, then like 3 more support conversations will open up and I'll get to learn out about this character. I'm like, oh fuck yes, and then I'll be able to upgrade this little area a little more. It's got a great loop to it, and I think that's why I love Fire Emblem on top of the genuinely phenomenal character writing. I really love the cast of this game.
It's got a great cast. And I will say it's neither here nor there, because we're should probably move on soon anyway. But what you're saying is why I love playing this game with permadeath on, because the threat of losing that makes the gameplay for me so much more engaging.
Sure, no, yeah,
there just is. I think Fire Emblem, people can fuck off with the old Fire Emblem is better type of stuff, because I just think that the character interactions from Awakening forward and make these games so much more high stakes if you want that classical Fire Emblem experience, and so much more rich from a narrative perspective if like you don't care about that tactical gameplay as much. I can we please, Intelligent Systems, can we have another Fire Emblem next year?
God, oh my god, can you fucking imagine?
So.
Oh my god.
Tucker, I'm trying to fucking rack my brain for what other games I haven't played. Let's talk about Knights of the Republic.
Oh, okay. Do you finish KOTOR?
I finished KOTOR, yes. I finished KOTOR. I submitted my review for KOTOR. That'll be published in Ninty Fresh Magazine issue 6. So what I will say here is that, and I want to talk more about the remake, because that wasn't really germane to my conversation in the magazine, but I'm going to talk about this here. KOTOR could be one of my top 5 games of all time.
Yes, you've said this, I think, in the Discord.
Yes, without any doubt. However, KOTOR is hampered by the fact that it released in 2003, and it feels old, right? And I think that's its biggest issue. So that's why my most anticipated game of all time now, or upcoming game right now, is KOTOR Remake.
Sure,
because you take everything, you just take KOTOR. Even if they don't touch up the gameplay very much beyond quality of life things, the game's going to be fucking dynamite, because this is such a rich RPG experience. Sure. Not only in terms of character customization, but in terms of narrative structure and the influence you can have over the story. Your KOTOR adventure can diverge so quickly, and I think that's what makes this game so amazing. It's not only is it an amazing part of the Star Wars galaxy in a different era than we usually explore in anywhere, really. I mean, BioWare helped invent the Old Republic as one of the most beloved eras of Star Wars canon. You get to meet all these new characters, right? But you get to actually build relationships with them. And not just in the perfunctory video game way of you are working your way through a scripted relationship, but you are informing the morality of your character, and that informs how you interact with other people and how you two grow together or apart. I mean, this is Western RPG type of stuff, but BioWare is just so far ahead of the curve in 2003 putting this together on this scale.
I think I didn't realize that it was BioWare that makes it. Yeah. Though that tracks, considering what else they made. Mass Effect Andromeda. Anthem.
Sonic the Hedgehog RPG.
What?
Yeah, there's a DS Sonic the Hedgehog RPG that BioWare developed.
Do you not know the name of it?
The Dark Brotherhood, I think it's called. I think it's called Sonic the Hedgehog Dark Brotherhood.
That's probably a real thing.
If you just look up Sonic the Hedgehog DS BioWare, it'll show up. I want to say it's got maybe Dark Crystal.
You got it. Fucking first try. Brotherhood? Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, that's a BioWare game.
Fascinating. I'll have to do a little research on this. Not because I want to play it, but because it exists.
Yes. But I mean, I'm a fucking Star Wars super nerd, as everybody knows, right? I'm actually, Tucker, let's bury a little bit of backlog banter and news in the episode, see who's watching. I'm actually bringing my Star Wars show back just over a week from this post, so my Star Wars fandom is going to be prominent, and we're going to be doing an episode on KOTOR with the new co-host, who's a secret for now. So I'll talk about it more in depth there, but I think that the combat is better than people give it credit for,
Mm-hmm.
but the game just feels old. I played it on easy because the checkpointing is terrible and the telegraphing of when you're gonna have a battle is terrible. So if you lose half an hour of progress because you open a door and there's a fucking dark Jedi standing behind there who mauls your team, that's just not fun. So I played on easy, and I save scummed, and I used the guide. And all of that I felt was necessary because of the way that the game feels. But you strip out that shit, you have a better level curve, you do a better job signposting where quests are, you fix the checkpointing, and then you just put that in the PS5 engine and make the cutscenes a little bit more expressive. And this will genuinely be one of my 5 favorite games of all time.
Let's hope so. Honestly, that would be really fun to have that happen.
Give me a reason to own a PS5.
Ooh.
I mean, for the people who don't know, and if you're watching this, you do know, but I have had a PS5 since launch, and I just don't use it. So
yeah,
KOTOR, which probably is not going to release for another like fucking 2 years. So.
Yeah. All right, it's time for what may end up as one of the most contentious BLB segments of all time. Not with you, because you don't know anything about this game. You haven't played it. First game I played on my brand new fucking spangly Xbox Series X was 12 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I played it alongside my good friends Tanner Dykstra and Joanne Wright, sitting alongside me, helping me make decisions, helping me piece together the fucking environment, and I think this game's fucking awesome, dude. I think this is an 8 out of 10. I think this is just amazing. And I'm excited to, now that I have my own Xbox, dig into the lineup that they have released this year. I've played a tad of Forza and now this, and I'll presumably play some Psychonauts, play some Halo Infinite when that comes out. But obviously this isn't exclusive anymore. I actually think it's releasing on other consoles in like a week or something like that.
Yes.
But I think that Microsoft knew what they were getting into here, and the controversy of this game I find really, really fascinating. What questions do you have about the game, or what do you know about the controversy? Because me saying it's a good game is already getting people's feathers fucking riled up. Almost everyone I have on backlog has this like a 1 out of 10.
Right. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care. That's
the game.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Because as soon as I learned what it actually is on a mechanical level of being a point and click adventure game in essence, I was like, I don't care anymore.
No, I'm not in essence. It is. It's just as much a point and click adventure game as fucking Monkey Island or whatever.
And my thing is like, that is just not a style of gameplay that matters to me at all. That is not on my radar. I don't want to fucking figure out how to put my empty applesauce container and combine that with this fucking dolphin statue to unlock a door, right?
Let me tell you, I think this comes from. Okay, so I never played a real point-and-click adventure game before to completion. That's not a genre I was interested in, and everything about this game structurally wasn't what, or gameplay-wise wasn't what pulled me in. Honestly, I don't think I realized that it was point-and-click. I thought maybe I would just move my fucking character around the environment, but that's just not true. But maybe from the perspective of it being a modern point-and-click adventure game, I think I combined items like once, and it was very obvious. I had pills, I had a cup of water, I dissolved the pills in the water. That's it. Everything else is, you need a key, drag the key onto the door to fucking unlock it. Okay, that makes sense. You need to show someone something, drag the something you need to show them from your inventory onto them. Done. The point-and-click adventure game aspects of this that make those older games obtuse and frustrating to modern sensibilities are not present in this, which I do think that makes it a lot more engaging. And I had honestly no problems or no times where I was genuinely stuck, though I do think that is part of that is because I played with 2 other people and we were able to discuss a lot of what was happening. We all noticed different things. We were able to throw ideas back and forth, and holy fuck, the gameplay loop when you're bantering with your friends about, oh, let's try this, let's set up this, next loop, okay, we know this, we can plan to have the guy come in and do this, and if we sneak out here and grab it, it's such an engaging gameplay loop to discuss with other people that we were throwing ideas back and left and right. I couldn't wait to get to the next loop and see what happened next and get a little bit of information out of this. I was so hooked. And the pacing of this game and the way that you only have 12 minutes, but it's actually 10 minutes to complete each loop really keeps it moving. And I never felt like dialogue got incredibly repetitive. I saw a little bit, but the amount of variety in this game that is in literally only 3 rooms, the amount of like dialogue variety and setup variety and ways that the characters can react is just unmatched. Like I ran into repetitive dialogues or repetitive sequences just a handful of times, and even then you can fast forward through those, which is pretty nice. But as the game wraps up, I think the entire point of its controversy comes around from a certain topic that I don't know. Are you interested in spoilers? Do you care if I spoil? Should I bring up the spoilers? Okay. The twist at the end, which reframes it in a way that I think sours the experience for a lot of people, personally I find interesting because it's a topic that isn't discussed, as far as I know, ever in video games, is that let me set the stage for 12 minutes. You play as an unnamed male protagonist who returns home to his loving wife, who's set up a fucking special dinner, and he finds out that his wife is pregnant. And a few minutes into that, a cop knocks into the door, busts in, handcuffs both of you, and strangles you to death. And boom, you're back to life. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? Holy shit. And as you go through the loop and your character becomes cognizant of this is happening, and how can you use this time loop to your advantage to figure out the secrets, you discover a lot of different twists. You find out that the cop is framing your wife for the murder of her father, but then you find out maybe she actually did it, but then you find out maybe actually someone else did it, and her dad that died had an affair with a nanny, and the cop was actually friends with the dad, and he has a daughter that's dying of cancer, and like there's all this stuff that builds and builds and builds, and there's so many interesting story twists that all lead to you discovering that all of this is in the mind of your character, which is what Joe gave this a 1 out of 10 because of that. And everything that you're going through is you future projecting possible scenarios for you to find out if you should or should not tell your wife that you are her brother, and that this is an incest story.
Wow.
Yeah. And personally, I find that really fascinating because I've never heard that topic discussed before. And it's not like it does it in like a really disgusting way. It doesn't go into the details of it, but like the twist is discovered and your character like falls on his knees. It's like, oh fuck, because he didn't realize it. And like,
so he doesn't know that he's related to her.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Well, except for maybe he knows on the outside because this is the future projection. Like there's questions that aren't clear because there's like 6 different endings or whatever, and there's no canon ending. But all of these story concepts, I think, keep the game really fresh. And that final twist certainly did not sour the final experience for me.
So, I mean, I'm certainly not going to comment because I haven't played the game. And so I have got no context for how that happens. That actually makes me a little bit more interested. How long did it take you to beat? It's not very long.
2.5 hours. Now, I don't know if this is because I had friends with me and we were able to work through it, but I've heard that sometimes it takes this game, take people to beat this game 8 hours, 10 hours, which is still not ridiculous, but from my experience, I don't know how they spent that long in the game. Maybe they just got stuck a lot more than I did. But 2.5 hours was a totally reasonable amount of time to spend on this.
So what did Tanner think? Did he like it?
Tanner liked it, yeah.
Joe hated it.
Joe was really into it, but the twist completely ruined it for him.
I get that. Did you feel like it was earned, the twist?
Well, I think because it's a twist, I don't think it necessarily needs to be earned.
Or not. Yeah,
I do feel like it was necessarily, or it was properly telegraphed because Joe actually kind of expected it. Or like he was like, guys, and I'm like, no, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. And then it was. And I was like, Joe, I will never doubt you again. But it didn't come entirely out of left field.
Very interesting. So it's got like an old boy energy.
Couldn't tell you.
You never seen Old Boy?
No.
That's a good fucking movie.
I've seen 1,979 other movies, but not Old Boy.
Maybe I'm not gonna play it. I'm gonna say
you're not, especially because now that I've described it to you, it doesn't have that impact. But holy shit, the amount of controversy about this game and the creator being like a fundamentally evil person for tackling this concept, I find to be really frustrating and limiting to what this guy tells as a very well crafted and written story. And the idea of tackling this, I don't think is in real life, it's morally reprehensible. But I don't think telling a story about it is morally reprehensible, personally.
I mean, that kind of makes me want to play the game to see if I feel like it's executed well, because if it is, I would like to go to bat for the creator, because ultimately I think that games like this are very important for gaming as a whole. And either games are art or they aren't. And when you talk about things like this, or you talk about Boyfriend Dungeon or any of the other games that have befallen a similar controversy, the people who are trying to censor or cast moral judgment against the existence of these games, I even feel 6 Days in Fallujah to an extent also, although that's a much more complicated issue.
Oh yeah, that game never came out.
It's delayed until next year.
Okay. Totally forgot about that.
Either the games are art or they aren't, and you are directly undercutting the medium when you try to undercut these games. And there's
I certainly agree.
And there is tasteless storytelling in every medium, but it is still the artistic license to tell a tasteless story, right?
I also saw a lot of people complaining or turned off by the fact that this game does feature police brutality, because a cop busts into your room and kills you and beats your pregnant wife. I personally, I don't think it was ridiculous, because it makes sense in the context of the story. Like that, we see that in movies all the time, and unfortunately we see that happen a lot in real life as well. And I do think that's the game doesn't like linger on. It's not like it's not fucking torture porn in that regard. But I thought this game was phenomenal, and honestly, the controversy about it kind of makes me respect it a lot more, because I feel like there was a really strong creative decision behind this. And also, it's not like this was pumped out in a year. This game has been worked on for like 8 years. This is I found a let's play of Greg and Nick from Kind of Funny playing with the creator of the game from 6 years ago.
Holy shit.
6 years ago. It's fucking wild. Like, this has been in development for a very long time, and I do think that they did this intentionally to spark controversy, but personally I feel just to talk about something that isn't talked about. It's not like a huge theme. It doesn't like destroy. I don't know. I feel like the game handles it very well, and everything else about the game I think is incredibly well crafted. It is a little glitchy. You got character models sometimes popping through each other, and like when you're talking from an overhead perspective, your character's head's going like that. But other than that, I think that the art style's great. I like the concept, the handling of time loop very well. The way it's paced and is awesome, and it also does feature 3 big name actors: James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe, who all do very good jobs. There's a caveat to that: is James McAvoy and Daisy Ridley are doing American accents for whatever the fuck reason. So just hire American actors. But at that point, it doesn't bother me much because they did great jobs, and especially Willem Dafoe. He's very Willem Dafoe-y in his performance. But 12 minutes is as I think more about the games that I play this year, it might creep up into like the bottom of my top 10 of the year, because I do think that it's unique enough and personally I think important enough to warrant a lot of critical acclaim, which it got from reviewers, but it's really the community that is railing against it.
I think I have one game left.
Okay, perfect.
Well, I
6
know
Days in Fallujah. I got it early.
I know I have one game. I just can't think if I have any others. If I can't remember them, I probably don't have enough to say about them anyway. Oh shit, no, I do. Fuck.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. Well, actually, I didn't play it very long, so it'll be more of a mention. We'll post anything at the end. But
oh yeah.
Star Wars Battlefront Renegade Squadron. Okay, so we gotta walk through this one for a second.
Hold on, I'm gonna look up this game so I can get the logo. Star Wars
Battlefront: Renegade Squadron. So as people probably know, because these games are pretty famous, Star Wars Battlefront 2, developed by Pandemic Studios, released across PlayStation 2 and Xbox in 2004 and 5, respectively. Star Wars Battlefront 2, although I also love Star Wars Battlefront 1 also, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is probably my 3rd favorite game of all time. It's in the top 5 easily. And then after that, Pandemic worked on Star Wars Battlefront 3, which was almost finished, but then canceled unceremoniously. One of the most infamously canceled games of all time.
As Star Wars games usually are.
Yes, this is definitely 1313 is up there, but prior to 1313, this was the biggest cancellation ever, because the game was largely done. But in the time between, well, in the time between Battlefront 2 and Battlefront 3's cancellation, Rebellion took up the Star Wars Battlefront IP to release portable Battlefront games. They made a port of Battlefront 2.
Team called Rebellion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
When
a
you
team
say
called
Rebellion, that
Yes.
could be fucking anything. That could
Great point.
be a person who's that's their
Right.
nickname. It could be a fucking
Yes.
character. It could be
Yes.
the name of the series. Doesn't fucking, I don't know.
So the studio Rebellion took over the IP.
Mhm.
They made a port of Battlefront 2 for PSP, and then they made Renegade Squadron. After Renegade Squadron, they made Elite Squadron, and Elite Squadron is basically Battlefront 3, but on PSP. It's a very interesting game. But because of that, Renegade Squadron falls in this really weird time after 2, before Elite Squadron, where it gets basically no coverage.
Mhm.
Elite Squadron, of course, 2 was famous because as a big console one, everybody loved that game. Elite Squadron repurposed a lot of these story and gameplay ideas from the canceled 3, and it cross-released on DS, so it had a much bigger footprint. Came out later. Renegade Squadron was only on PSP.
Yeah.
And so it gets forgot about. I have a PS TV, and like,
which is already weird enough.
Yes, I got it back when they were really cheap, like literally $60 for PS TV with a game and a controller.
I wish I had gotten there. Though
And-
I am, little inside me baseball. I am thinking about asking for a Vita for Christmas. Fun side story. I once asked for a Vita for Christmas, and my mom got me Vita games, but no Vita. And I'm like, I can't fucking play these. And she's like, okay, too bad. And she returned the games.
That's really funny. You've told me that before. That's a very.
So
funny
I'm hoping
story.
to remedy that by being like, hey, remember when I asked you for that thing a few years ago, and you just like didn't do anything with it? She's like, yeah. Hopefully we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. I want to play fucking Golden Abyss. Okay.
I don't like Golden Abyss very much. I'll save that as a conversation to have in a BLB months from now when you find it.
Yes.
So I have PS TV. I got Renegade Squadron and basically never touched it.
Mhm.
I barely touched that PS TV to begin with.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I was like, I want to play Renegade Squadron on PS TV, like completely out of the fucking blue.
That's where the best bullshit comes from, personally.
Right. Yeah. And so
I want to play Final Fantasy Birthright.
Yeah.
Yabba dabba do, you know?
And so I fucking found the power cord, plugged in my PS TV. Very weird. And I mean, it's just a Vita's interface, but without touch, it's very weird to navigate. Doesn't matter. Get into Renegade Squadron. This game is fucking awesome, but is also, I think no matter who you are, it is a very good game and a very impressive game for PlayStation Portable.
Yeah.
If you're a Star Wars fan, I think, especially if you're a Battlefront fan, I think it is essential to play. This for me really did feel like an extension of my childhood playing Battlefront 2, which is a big thing to say because I played that game every day after school for years of my life. There is no game on this fucking planet that I know better than Battlefront 2. And so to recapture even a portion of that in Renegade Squadron is really awesome. It basically is Battlefront on the handheld with a new customization system, with new maps and modes and everything. I actually go into much greater detail about this in a retroware piece that went up an hour ago as of when we're recording in real time right now.
Okay.
So if you want more of a deeper retrospective into what's new about the game and why it works, you can go to that. But on the most subjective level, I was just really impressed by it. And I'm super happy that I rediscovered it. And it's going to be a game that I play regularly. Now, of course, it's limited by the fact that this is a controller with 2 sticks.
PSP not.
The PSP arguably had one, right? And because of that, it's a lock-on shooter, which is pretty archetypical of like 6th generation shooters. Pre the standardization of control, 5th, 6th generation shooters. So as someone who's played, my Star Wars Bounty Hunters and my fucking Star Fox Assaults, I was able to hang with the controls pretty quickly. But that is definitely the biggest hurdle to enjoying this game. But I just think it's such a weird and overlooked Star Wars game in a period of time when there were so many fucking Star Wars games releasing. I don't think people realized how many Star Wars games released in the pre-EA era. There was a gap of time when there was basically none. But you talk to me about like early 2000s to 20 like pushing 2010, 2011,
Mm-hmm.
there are so many fucking Star Wars games that are fine to kind of bad, and then a handful that are really excellent. Your Force Unleashed and your Knights of the Old Republics and your console Battlefronts, right? But then the things that get forgotten are things like this.
Sort of just below that tier.
Well, I'd say just below that tier is like your Jedi Academies, which are also great.
Sure.
This is even further below. This is like mingling with the games that nobody cares about.
I feel like this is the kind of game that would, for some god fucking sake reason, just randomly get a port announced in a Nintendo Direct, and like half the people who played it would be like, "Oh yeah, that's right, that existed." But the people who do are like, "Oh, that was actually pretty good," and they're, "Oh, I'll try this out," and then most of them would never buy it and never try it.
The one that I'm waiting for is a Battlefront 2 port, which I don't think is out of the question.
Well, that would be fascinating. That'd be fascinating. And hey, if it happened, they would probably retroactively add some sort of online stuff. Maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
the game is actually on the game is on Steam, and it has servers on Steam.
Oh,
Multiplayer servers on Steam, but it's also on Xbox.
But also the problem is that it's on Steam, so you'll never play it.
I've actually played some of it on Steam, but again, I just don't like playing that way. I have it on Xbox, and on Xbox, actually, it has the original Xbox exclusive DLC. So there's interesting stuff about that version.
I feel like you talked about that.
I definitely have talked about it on this show, but I really hope that Battlefront 2 comes to PlayStation and comes to Switch, maybe through Aspire.
Sure.
So
we'll see.
We'll see.
That was very fascinating. That's a game I would probably never have heard of if you hadn't brought it up.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah. So I will hop from a game, 12 minutes, that I was pretty sure you wouldn't like because of its gameplay style, to another game that I'm pretty sure you wouldn't like because of its gameplay style. Because I've played about 6 hours in the last day of Life is Strange: True Colors.
Oh, okay.
And this is an interesting one for me because I played probably a chapter and a half of the original Life is Strange through PS Plus, I think.
Could have been
about 4 years ago. It was like one of the first things I played on my PS4, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And I was endeared by the main character of Max Caulfield and interested by the concept of rewinding time, but just hated the episodic structure.
Yeah.
And of course, they'd all released by that point. But like, I was like, what the fuck is this? What's going on? I'd never played a game like it before. Frankly, I hadn't played many story-heavy games at that point in my life. So I was just like, what the fuck is this? I'm a fan of Max, but I don't give a piss about the rest of this game. Also, my PS Plus expired because I only had it for a year, so I couldn't play anymore. So I've been hearing a lot of stuff about Life is Strange: True Colors, it being a couple of people I know's game of the year, and thinking, okay, this is a obviously more modern Life is Strange game, taking advantage of modern hardware. And
is it a third game in this? Like, is it a follow-up, or is this new characters, new scenarios?
Life is Strange is weird from what I know about it. So this is the 4th/5th game in the series, depending how there's DLC side stories, and there's 2, and there's Before the Storm, and there's
Captain Underpants.
Captain Underpants, yeah, the Marvelous Adventures of Captain Spirit, whatever the fuck. And then there's this, and they're all in the same universe as far as I know. And I believe one of the romanceable characters in this game, who I love, she's a great character, is the main character of one of the past games, which is an interesting connection. But so hopefully what I'm fucking future predicting is that they like meld these stories and characters into one. But for 95% of this game is entirely new characters and a new location, which is one of the strongest aspects of this game, which is the town of Haven Spring, Colorado. Haven Springs, which is just immaculately rendered and beautiful color palette, and almost entirely explorable, and with like a really great sense of life to it. But this game did not hook me from the first chapter, which is about 2.5 hours long, because it's very linear in that first part, and you're getting introduced to the characters. And personally, I wasn't really quite comfortable with like the indie girl tone of it all. I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? But there's a twist at the end of the first chapter that brings you into chapter 2 and entirely reframes the way that you, as the main character, Alex Chen, interact with the community and get to know the characters. And I played chapter 2 in one sitting last night until like 1:30 in the morning, because I'm like, I need to fucking finish this. Like, and by this point, I'm like 85% of the way into this game. Like, I'm into it. Like, I'm excited to be playing it.
Sure.
I'm about halfway done with the game, I think. But I'm really loving it now, because this game does a lot in terms of taking a small cast of characters and fleshing them all out relatively equally. And you've got so you as Alex Chen, a girl who has been in the I believe the foster care system for a long time. You are reuniting with your brother, who he lives in Haven Spring, Colorado, and you're just moving there for the first time and getting to know everyone. And you get to meet all these characters, and then at the end of chapter 1, as I said, a twist happens that reframes the way you interact with everyone, and that really, really grabbed me.
Sure.
Also, I sort of regret to say for the video that went up today, I have to retroactively change my best performance of the year, because I think Alex Amori, something like that, the actor for Alex Chen, is just phenomenal. Alex Chen, in her facial animations and performance, is on par with Ellie and Abby and Joel from Last of Us. Holy fuck, the amount of like nuance in her eyes darting around and like her cheeks and mouth moving with like the way that she's interacting with people. It's insane. Unfortunately, that doesn't apply to all the rest of the characters. The rest of the cast is relatively plastic. They've got that sort of pastel art style. They're a little bit rigid. So it makes her feel out of place, but she's just a fucking jewel of a character in this game. And I'm absolutely in love with the cast and the world and the story, which is sort of taking down this organization that's done something bad, and we're trying to squeeze information out of people. I'm really, really loving this game, and there's a chance that if the story pans out like I've heard it has, but I don't want to future project. This is probably going to be one of my favorite games of 2021.
Oh, awesome!
Not if there's a ton of competition. I mean, again, this is the year of 7s and 8s, so if this is a 9, that's automatically putting it up there.
Is that a kind of funny games term? Because that sounds like it.
No, Michael Huber says swimming in 7s. That's one of his classic terms, and I didn't want I copyright Michael Huber, so I don't want to say that. But
to be honest, I've got nothing to add to a Life is Strange conversation.
Yeah, no, of course.
It's not really the sort of game that interests me, but I'm glad that these seem to be getting on a better critical foot, right?
Well, I mean,
could be wrong about that.
The first game was well received.
Yeah.
I think in retrospect, people were like, "Oh, this is a little bit clunky." And it was not very high budget for the time. But the IP of Life is Strange and that gameplay format with Don't Nod and something 9, Team 9, fucking
Deck 9.
Deck 9, thank you. The two teams are sort of working on these games. They have certainly polished a lot of stuff. Sure. This game, I believe, is the first one in the series to have an explorable hub world, which does very much increase your connection to the world and the characters, which is, I think, very important.
And it's not episodic.
No, and right? Well, it is episodic, but they're all released at the same time. It's broken into 5 chapters.
Yes.
But it's not released 2 months apart, which I can't even imagine how fucking frustrating that would have been. And apparently people liked it, but I can't even watch TV shows that way. So I can't even fucking imagine playing an episode of a fucking video game 2 months after I've played it. No fucking way.
I agree. It's for an interactive medium like this, especially because it takes so long. Like if you had a weekly Life is Strange episode or a weekly Telltale episode, then that could have worked better. But that was not how this games are structured.
No, it was not.
But Tucker, we're out of our games. I think we have. I was doing a quick look through. I think we've got 2, 3. We've got 3 audience submissions this week.
Is that true? I thought we'd won that.
We got 3,
Andrew, Sam,
and Abby.
Oh, and Abby.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is Abby?
I will take Abby's. How about? Or let's see. Do you want to?
I literally don't see it.
Okay, then I'll go first.
Wait, what the fuck?
Abby says I played through GTA 5 and it is a tremendous game. I played on PC on basically all high settings and looked like a game that would release in 2021. The textures are super detailed and the movements are realistic. The character switching mechanic is implemented really well, and each character has a distinct backstory and personality. The story keeps me on the edge of my seat and reminds me of heist movies with elaborate planning and flashy set pieces such as the Now You See Me movies. The entire game basically feels like a movie, which I really like. Now I appreciate a good Now You See Me reference. The first one's very good. The second one is certainly released after the first one. I actually just bought GTA 5. Not because I wanted to.
Tangentially,
yeah, not because I wanted to, but because I had to.
Mm-hmm. What did it come with? The
Series
Xbox.
Yeah, it came with a Series X. I'm upgrading from a Series S to a Series X, and I want to do a segment probably on BLB where I talk about that, and it'll give you some time to talk about your series, ask me a little bit of an Xbox hardware conversation. Actually, fuck it, that'll be a separate video probably. Probably.
Yeah.
But
about right.
the point is, I got my Xbox through Microsoft Direct through one of the you've been selected to buy an Xbox emails. But what they don't tell you is that you've been selected to actually buy an Xbox, a game, and another controller. And so the cheapest one was GTA 5. So
Fascinating.
I just chose that one. So I have it, Avi. I'm actually very curious to try it because San Andreas was interesting, but San Andreas Definitive Edition is an unacceptable video game. But I want to try a modern GTA title. So I think I will be giving GTA 5 a shot. I don't know, in a couple weeks.
Maybe. We'll see.
Fuck it. It's a surprise.
Yeah, no, I don't talk about GTA very much because
Then let's keep it that way.
My entire experience with that franchise is rooted in just a few hours of online that I played. I probably started the campaign one time and played like first 10 minutes of it, but I don't remember. So GTA 5's story, I know people like, but I know nothing about it. I can maybe name one of the characters, but I'm not very interested in it because, frankly, I found the entire enjoyment of GTA to be the dicking around in the open world with my friends and trying to see how wacky we could be, as opposed to, hey, I know corny and campy story, but more serious version of an actual story with characters and stuff. Though GTA 6 releases and has a story, maybe I try it. I don't know. That's such a fucking future projected thing. But I have no draw to go back to GTA 5, but Avi is on a fucking roll of just like picking out a random game, just playing through it. That's awesome that you played that. I don't hear people frankly, I don't hear people talk about GTA 5 anymore. Not because it's not popular, but just because the circles that I'm in, no one really plays it anymore. But you're gonna get like a 2/3 thumb up from that one.
Sure.
I should start rating these.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do that. That'd be rude. All right. My toying, I'm gonna hop over to our friend Andrew Mooglenator in the Discord, who says, I'm assuming I've been playing Far Cry 6 these last couple of days. Not sure what I expected, but it for sure is a Far Cry game. Ever since Far Cry 3, these games have kind of stick to the same formula of a first-person GTA style with weapon wheel, vehicles to operate, etc. Open world game with missions to complete and miscellaneous activities that open up more of the world to you or make traversal easier by unlocking fast travel locations. The fictional Caribbean island of Yara is under the harsh rule of a dictator played by Giancarlo Esposito, as we all know. And it is your job as the protagonist to free Yara from his oppressive reign. There's a decent variety of weapons and companions to keep the gameplay loop somewhat engaging as you liberate the various portions of the island from his tyranny. The game has an extensive list of accessibility options that suit the various needs of players, from colorblind options to subtitles that describe sounds and their distance and direction relative to player position. That's wild. I didn't know about that. The game does not revolutionize any of its combat from the last handful of entries in the series, and it feels a bit stale, admittedly. I'm not quite bored yet. I'm about a third of the way through the game, but at this point, it is mostly the story that motivates me to finish the game.
I've actually almost bought Far Cry 6 a couple times.
Really?
Yeah. Because it was one of those bundle games. It was like, I don't think I'm gonna care enough, and I almost asked for it for my birthday, but instead I asked for a Japanese copy of Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, which is a little bit more on brand for me.
Why the Japanese version?
Because it's like half of the price and it still has English.
Oh, okay.
Which is very interesting. But so the point is, I've been like on the fence about playing this game because Colin Moriarty says it's one of his games of the year. Wow, and he speaks about it very highly. But I just don't think, for me, the format of Far Cry does a whole lot.
Yeah, a lot of the enjoyment of those games comes from being a dick in the side quests and fucking around the open world, which I know is not something you engage with.
Not usually, unless it's rare exceptions like Breath of the Wild or Red Dead. So I did.
You played Red Dead?
I played Red Dead too for probably 15-20 hours.
Oh, I always remember it sitting behind you. I just didn't think you had ever popped it in, frankly.
Yeah, I did for a while. But no, I think Far Cry 6, I think Andrew's assessment is right on. It seems like more Far Cry.
Far Guy.
Far Guy.
Far Guy.
And they didn't grab me before, so I don't think they're gonna grab me this time either.
Yeah, it's interesting for me because I really did have a great time with Far Cry 3 when I played it.
Yeah.
Oh geez, probably in 2015. But I can't remember why I liked the game.
Sure.
Maybe just like I think it was one of my first times really engaging with an open world game of that caliber, and there is a lot of stuff to do and a lot of side quests to take on and checkpoints to unlock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So frankly, I'm probably not going to play this game. If I actually tried 4. That's a weird memory. I tried 4 and I'm like, this is just not as fun as Far Cry 3, so I stopped. But then 5 and fucking the other weird half ones in the middle, Primal,
New Dawn.
No.
New Dawn, definitely.
No, that's Twilight.
No, Dark Dawn. No, that's Golden Sun.
Dark Side of the Moon. No,
I'll look this up.
But if none of those really grabbed me, I don't see this one doing much more.
It is New Dawn.
Oh. But yeah, so I'm probably not going to play this. But on the off chance that Tanner picks up on a sale, as a big of a Far Cry fan he is, I'll give it a shot. Though I've heard it's fucking long, so I don't know if I really care to engage that much time in a Far Cry experience. But we'll see. That's a future projected thing. But the shiggity outlook not so good.
I will make sure you play Far Cry 6.
Okay, well, there you go, folks.
All right. Last comment of the day before we get the fuck out of here and let the audience get back to their days is from our friend Shmuel in the Discord, who says, I've started Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I've played only a little bit past the tutorial chapter so far, so this isn't a review as much as it is just my first impressions of the game. Which,
by the way, is totally valid here for BLB submissions. You talk about however you want to talk about the game you're talking about. I know Nick's sometimes like, I haven't beaten the game. Fuck you. Just talk about the game. We want a chance to talk about different games.
Yeah. Also, I mean, if you just want to talk about the characters in the game that sexually arouse you, we'll accept those submissions too. We will welcome those submissions.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about Captain Toad today.
This is my first time playing a Fire Emblem game, and after learning how to play, I'm pretty interested in finding out more about the setting. I'm definitely not super hooked by all of the characters, but all of the voice acting is pretty solid so far, and I wasn't expecting this game to be fully voiced, which was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
So far, it feels closest in gameplay to XCOM, which is really promising for me because I absolutely love those games. Once I learn more about about how the combat systems work, I think I'll have a fun time trying out new strategies and really getting into planning out each encounter. Also, love the idea of permadeath. Cannot wait to get attached to a character only to see them die for good because of my poor planning. Put that shit directly into my veins. Overall, I'm pretty optimistic that I like this game a lot. I'll write in again when I get closer to beating it or after I beat it. Also, if I end up hating it, I'm blaming it all on you, Tucker. I like to blame most things in my life on Tucker if they go awry. So, Tucker, I think this is quite a powerful comment to end the episode on because we did a lot of Fire Emblem talk today.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
A little bit of synergy to wrap up the show.
This is a powerful comment because I did a little swapsy with Shmuel, who's with my friend Sam. He was a doll and picked up my Xbox Series S, which was sitting on the fucking porch. And I'm like, I do not want my Xbox. I was in Las Vegas. I'm like, I do not want my Xbox Series S to be sitting on the fucking porch until the indiscriminate amount of time when Tanner or Jenny comes home to get it. Yeah. So he drove all the way over, picked it up, took it back to his place. On my way back from the airport, I grabbed my Xbox at his place, and in return handed him my copy of Fire Emblem 3 Houses, which I've already played, and I'm playing Birthright, so there's really no reason for me to have it at the moment.
What a fucking gentleman.
And fucking shook hands. Pleasure doing business with you. I drove home with an Xbox, and presumably he's enjoying Fire Emblem. So, God, just the idea of introducing someone to Fire Emblem really makes me fucking happy. And one thing that he mentioned that is fascinating going back to the older games is the fully voiced nature of 3 Houses. That adds so much to those characters.
It does,
Holy shit. I mean, I like the voice acting that is in Birthright and was in Awakening, but
it's situational.
It's situational and it's very repetitive because you get the like it's just a bunch of fucking anime grunts for the most part.
Yeah, they are.
And I God, I can't wait for the next console fucking fully fleshed out Fire Emblem game. Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
I want
oh my god.
Yes, I want a Fire Emblem game on Switch. It looks like it's supposed to be on Switch.
Yeah.
I think that 3 Houses. I think honestly, I do think I have cooled down on 3 Houses a little bit as I've gotten distance from it. I just don't think that I think the academy, a lot like Captain Toad, actually, I think the academy structure is a good starting point, but I don't think that idea came anywhere near its conclusion. So I think, and I think technically the game also left a lot to be desired. So Intelligent Systems takes what's so great about Three Houses, because that is a great game.
Yeah.
At minimum. And you put that into the next game, and I think we're gonna have fucking dynamite.
Good God. Oh my fucking. I'm getting goosebumps just fucking thinking about the idea that there might be a Fire Emblem game releasing next year. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Intelligent Systems just fucking pumps these games out now. So.
They do, but they don't right now because it's been 3 fucking years.
They had to make Paper Mario.
They did Origami King?
Yeah, Intelligent Systems.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yes. Yes, it is. Origami King is not very good.
All right, come back next week for my impressions on Paper Mario 6 Star. I'm not going to play 6 Star next week, but I might.
I think I have 6 Star. I like to always keep Paper Mario 6 Star within arm's reach.
I like to keep it close to my breast.
Yeah.
I like to keep it abreast of me. Which is why today I am announcing that I will get I will have 2 copies of Paper Mario Sticker Star implanted into my breasts. There it is. There he is. That's your boy. All right, Sticker Star review coming soon, everyone. But in the meantime, we'll let you get out of here. We have a lot of interesting stuff coming up in the next week.
No,
Game Awards are next week. Halo launches next week.
Oh, I had to talk to you about the Game Awards, by the way.
Okay, all right, well, we'll see you guys later.
Yes, goodbye. I look very red today, or rosy, I suppose.
Me? You?
Me.
That's probably your 5-hour sauna session this morning.
Yes.
You ever been in a sauna?
It's actually 107 degrees in the room right now. But what I have been in, have you ever been in a steam room?
Is that not the same thing?
No, because isn't a sauna like a fucking tub you get into?
It's a big wooden room where you pour a little thing on the rocks and it steams up the room.
Well, yes,
Timo had one of those in his backyard in Texas, and we would go in there sometimes, and then it would get hot as fuck, and I couldn't take the heat, so I would lay underneath the benches where it was cooler. All my friends were sitting above me, and then we would run out and dive in the pool.
It's like you're getting warm-care boarded.
I hated that. I hated that fucking place so much.
No, whenever I went into this it was a eucalyptus steam room.
Yes. You get like special oils or whatever.
A place where we were staying, and I couldn't breathe. I had to leave. I couldn't breathe.
No, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Same thing. And Timo was like, my strong Nordic blood allows me to survive this. I'm like, Timo, I will fucking punch your chest hole deeper in.